What's going on, you guys? This is Eric for the win, and I'm going to do a boss list here. I want to do a few of them. I'm going to do best bosses, most challenging bosses. That might be summed up into one video, but I wanted to do something different where I actually talk about the bosses I did not like in Dark Souls 3. And this list right here, I'm probably just going to call it top 5 cheapest bosses, because either the boss spammed really stupid moves where it would just be a one-hit kill, or just the fight overall, just a bunch of nonsense would happen, BS moments, things like that. And this is not talking about design or anything like that, how they look, because some of these bosses look really cool. It's just what they do that was very annoying. And there's just other factors that I want to throw in there. These are the top 5 that come to mind when it just comes to cheapness and just nonsense and bull. That's pretty much the best way I could sum it up. So let's go ahead and get into it. Go ahead and think about your guys' personal lists, and you can always comment below and let me know what you think, what bosses you didn't like, all that good stuff. So let's just get into it. First and foremost, we got to talk about the Nameless King, or more specifically, King of the Storm, which is the first phase of the Nameless King. This boss was just nonsense. There was really nothing I liked about this boss other than the design and just how it would fly around. That was awesome. I thought a lot of those moments were pretty epic, especially when the king was shooting lightning at me and I was trying to get away. I had to roll at the right time. That part was epic. Besides that, hated it because of one specific factor that I'm sure we can all agree on, and that is the ridiculous camera. The camera on this boss is just so bad. No matter what you do, you can lock on, you could not lock on, you can try and time whatever he's doing. You would just mess up because the camera would not show you what's really going on. It would wrap around, you would be in the wrong position, etc., etc. The camera was terrible. So really, the MVP, or the real boss, was the camera in this fight. Phase 2 with just me and the king, awesome. Phase 1, terrible. I just was so annoyed fighting this boss because of the camera. And not only that, but total BS was happening. If you watch my, I guess, playthrough or my boss fight of this fight, you can see many times where I'm complaining about the fact that I couldn't roll. I don't know what was going on, because the whole rest of the game, for the most part, didn't really have that problem, especially when it came to the bosses. But for whatever reason, maybe the camera had something to do with it or something, but I just could not get off rolls in this fight for some reason. And that was very annoying. But besides that, I mean, of course I had to push through that. I had to just accept that and think, okay, you know, this is gonna happen. I gotta be early. So once I was able to hit those rolls or whatever, there was still BS happening. Like, for example, my hit's not even doing a thing, and I'll try and get that footage in here for you guys. If not, you could definitely catch it in my boss fight video. There was times where I would literally run up to the neck of this dragon bird thing, hit his neck, and nothing would happen. That definitely just threw me off and got me so pissed off. I had it with this freaking phase 1. I was so done with it. I always wanted to just jump into that phase 2, but you know how it is. You got to do it all. And that was just, it was just something I dreaded and wasn't motivated about. I was actually getting really annoyed with this boss. So yeah, that's definitely on this list. King of the Storm, you will not be missed. You do look cool though. I give you that. You do look cool. Alright, next on the list is Aldrich, Devourer of the Gods. Now this boss right here looks cool. You know, I like the setting, I like the lore of this boss. That's cool. But fighting this boss, I did not really like because of the magic. He was just spamming the heck out of the magic, and I don't know if it was just my bad luck or what, because when I would watch other people fight this boss, it seemed easier. Like they weren't really getting the worst of it, and I felt like I was. So that was frustrating because this guy was spamming those magical orbs, whatever they were called. He would just throw those at me all the time. You have the arrows that come down. He was doing that non-stop. It was crazy, and I was just getting to the point where like I had to just find everything inside of me to get through it. Like I had to push myself, motivate myself to understand like, okay, this BS is happening. How can I get around it? And once I got into that mindset, it was easy after that. But up until that point, it was a struggle because it was just constant magic. And it was just so annoying. And I felt like it was cheap, definitely the cheapest boss up until that point. I think maybe even overall, I felt like this guy was just super cheap and I hated him. So yes, he earned this spot on the list, that is for sure. And I don't think I'm gonna miss this boss at all. Like I said, cool design, looks awesome, the lore is awesome, but that's about it. Hated this boss. Next on the list is Lord Vulnera. This boss is actually really easy as long as you avoid the poisonous fog or whatever he has, but if once you get stuck in that, it's just so cheap. You will die instantly. If you cannot get out of it, you're done. So because of that, he earned his place on the list. It was kind of hard to pick the fifth boss, and this was my number 5. They're all out of order in this video, but I actually liked this boss kind of because it's like this big ass skeleton. I mean, it goes with the theme of the area, but I was kind of disappointed too because I felt like they could have done much more with this boss. Just instead of having poisonous stuff come out and that's really the only threat, I mean, they could have done so much more, I feel like. So I was disappointed with this boss because of that. But with the design and everything, awesome. You know, it looks cool, especially how he creeps up at the beginning the first time you go at him. You go and pick up this item and then he just appears within the darkness. It's so dark, but then boom, he's just there. And that moment was just an oh my gosh moment, and that was, you know, really awesome. So I just felt like they could have kept with that creepiness and maybe just done more with it. Maybe make it go lights out again, go dark again, and you have to find him. I don't know. I'm just thinking on the top of my head. It could have been better. So I think of this whole list, this is probably my most disappointing boss. And I might do a separate list for that as well because there's other ones that disappointed me as well. But keeping it positive, you know, like I said, the design of this boss is cool, and I do want to do another list of awesome looking bosses and stuff like that. You guys give me ideas, let me know what you want to see. But for right now, yes, Lord Vulnera, you were pretty cheap. Didn't like you too much. You could have been better. Let's just put it that way. It could have been better. Next is Osiris, the Consumed King. And is it Osiris or Osiris? Either way, I did not like this boss. Was not into this boss at all. I just didn't like him. Thought he sucked. I felt like his moveset sucked. It hit hard. So yeah, there was some challenge there because he hit so hard. He did a lot of damage. But beyond that, I mean, the moveset he had was just awful. I felt like it was just a total ripoff of the Blood-Starved Beast from Bloodborne. Just not as cool. I mean, when you think about that boss fight, it was creepy, it was visually stunning. I loved that boss. This boss, not so much. It just had the same kind of moveset as far as charging, being kind of erratic, spinning around towards you to face you and just kind of follow you. It just had that same thing going, but overall it just wasn't as cool. It wasn't that great. And not only that, but you have this baby in the background that's just crying constantly. So that's very annoying. It's kind of distracting. And the boss, I believe it's him, he's just kind of talking through it and telling me things, and I didn't really pay attention to what he was saying, but I was like, dude, shut up. Like, I'm trying to kill you right now. And it was just hard to get to him. And because I was using my short broadsword, I was just having a difficult time, and it was very annoying because I would be right by him, swing at him, and would just miss many times. So it took longer than it probably should have, and it was just a very annoying fight. Would I say it was cheap? Maybe not cheap. It was just more just blah. It just wasn't good. I just didn't like it. So it was more so that. It was probably cheap in the way that, you know, I couldn't hit him at perfect moments. There were times where like my sword would go through him, and that was a big problem. And that was annoying, and that, you know, had happened on other bosses as well, like the Nameless King or King of the Storm. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that junk. So yeah, when that was happening, it just made me further hate this boss, you know, because not only was he hard to to get to because he's moving around so damn erratically. Once I did get to him, my hits weren't even working at times. So yeah, I was not feeling this boss at all. So yeah, it definitely earned a spot on this list as just cheap and blah. Last but not least, we have the Deacons of the Deep. Visually, kind of cool. I mean, you have this kind of cult-looking group here that are trying to kill me, and I'm not sure of the lore or anything that's going on here. I'll have to look into it, but besides that, I just wasn't feeling this boss. I was kind of disappointed. I remember leading up to this boss. It's a pretty awesome area, and I thought, okay, something cool is going to be around the corner. I'm ready for it. And then I got to this group of psychos, and I was just like, that's it? Really, all you have to do is just hit well, at least in the first phase anyways, you have to hit the guy that's red. And there's this red orb that shoots up in the air once you do hit him, or if you take too long or whatever, it'll shoot down into someone else. Almost like it's like powering them or whatever, and that's the main person you gotta hit. Once you do that, you know, you get to the second phase, and it's a very annoying fight because you got to get through all these guys. It's like a mob. You have to kind of work your way through them to try and hit the one that you got to hit, and it's just very overwhelming. It's very annoying. And not only that, but at times they will pray or do like this summoning or seance kind of thing where they all gather their powers and make this huge orb. And if you don't stop them, that orb will come at you really, really fast, and it's really hard to dodge. It goes through pillars, it goes through walls, and it's pretty much almost a one-hit kill. So if you have any kind of damage, you're done. And so that was annoying. It was just not a cool boss. I just wasn't feeling it. I don't know. Maybe I just don't like cults. Who does? But you know what I mean? It was just like, I just didn't like this boss. So that's it, man. I don't really know what else to say. These are the top 5 cheapest bosses. I guess I would say Deacons of the Deep was cheap because of that big ass orb and just having to get through all the bodies, and it was just very annoying. But yeah, that's my list. Tell me what you guys think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? We're all gonna have different opinions because, you know, it's Dark Souls and we all have different feelings when it comes to these specific bosses. Of course, like I said, this is just when it comes to cheapness and annoyance and just bosses I wasn't really feeling. This has nothing to do with how challenging they are or how, I don't know, just how they look. Because like I said, I kept mentioning how some of these bosses look really awesome. The design is cool. Sometimes the lore was really awesome. Things like that. So I'm not saying these bosses just straight up suck. It's just that I just didn't really like what was happening because there was a lot of BS at times, or the bosses at times just had really BS attacks, or they spammed stuff, you know what I mean? There was just other factors that just kind of made the fight suck, you know? So that's really what this list was about. Like I said, tell me what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in my next video. Peace.